There are thousands of videos from hundreds of different people all over the internet talking about selling on Amazon. And some of those videos are just complete lies, and others nailed the truth completely. So in this video, it's time to set the record straight, and I'm going to break down 5 of the most important things that I wish I knew before I started selling on Amazon. It's really important for you to know what you're getting into before you start putting time and money into starting any business. So I'm going to break down everything I wish I knew before I started my $5 million Amazon business. So let's break down some reasonable expectations as to what you can actually make. I'll show you how to actually find some of those first products and get a little bit tactical with you. And by the end of this video, you'll be fully prepared to know if selling on Amazon is the right choice for you. And before we jump into the computer and break down some technical knowledge, I want to start with the point number 1. This might be the most important one of the entire video. I want to set the expectation that selling on Amazon is not passive income. Selling on Amazon is hard work. I've been doing it for about 6 years myself. And yes, I'm glad that I started, and I'm glad I put in the hard work. And since I started on Amazon, I actually took the $1,500 I made at my high school job and turned it into my college side hustle. By the time I graduated college, through a lot of hard work, I was already making 6 figures in income, and I've been working for myself ever since then. And at this point, I've talked to literally thousands of other people that were also able to change their lives. But if you talk to literally every single one of them, they will all agree that they put in a lot of hard work to start making money on Amazon. The way I like to look at it, and a quick test you can give yourself to decide if you're going to be successful at selling on Amazon, is the learning curve of selling on Amazon. You're basically making $2 or $3 an hour for the first couple weeks, sometimes a month or two, because you're spending a ton of time and you're probably not making very many sales, if at all. Inventory is getting sent in, and all you're doing is spending money at the beginning. Usually somewhere within a couple months into the business, you start making a decent hourly, if that's how you want to look at it, 30 to $100 an hour, depending on how hard you're working at it. Recently on the channel, I've had some awesome interviews with new Amazon sellers who have been able to actually hit 100K plus in their first couple months. So it is still very possible in 2025 to have some awesome quick results. But keep in mind that whether it's a week or 2 months, you are going to have a period where you're selling on Amazon where you're spending a ton of time and you're making basically $0. So all of the successful Amazon sellers that I know, they're willing to delay gratification, right? If you're someone who needs to start the business and immediately start making money, look into something service-based, look into something where you can spend 1 hour, make $100, right? That's not what this is. Selling on Amazon is a journey of growing your skills so that right now you're not making a lot of money, but in the long run, with less and less hours, you're able to buy more and more inventory. And as we go through this video, I'm going to show you a couple of the things that you can start implementing to start seeing that growth for your own business. So if you can accept that selling on Amazon is not passive income and you won't get the flashy Lamborghini you see all over Instagram as soon as you open the account, let's jump into the second point. And the second thing here is where we're going to start getting into some technical product sourcing information. Like I said, with this video, I'm also going to show you how to actually start getting set up and start finding some profit for your business. But I want to start by showing you something really important, right? And I'm just going to show you a quick example of a winning product. So this here right here is a name brand product that any new Amazon seller can get approved to sell. You just buy from the website and submit that to Amazon. And in this case, we can see, hey, this is like a light gray shirt. It is $17.25. And then over here on the Amazon website, I'm able to use SellerAmp, which is one of the essential tools you'll want to use as an Amazon seller. And I can plug in my fees and say, hey, this is $17.25. Right now on Amazon, it's selling for $36. So in this case, I'm going to make $6 profit, 38% ROI. Looks pretty good, right? But here's where the second thing I wish I knew before I started Amazon comes into play. And that's that the best products you're going to sell are made profitable. They're not found profitable. So what I mean by that is in this case, it's just sitting here at retail price. Basically, there's a little bit of a sale going on, but anyone can come in here and see that, hey, it's $17 at the brand's website. Hey, it's $36 on Amazon. There's a price difference there. And the reason why this is important is because number one, the products that are easy to find profitable are less likely to stay profitable for the long run. Some of the best products that I sell in my store are only profitable under a very certain set of conditions, and it's usually only around for a couple days a year. And so I stock up on those because I know there's a little bit of a moat around that, right? It's a little bit harder for other sellers to figure out how I'm actually making profit on some of the best items that you're going to sell, right? And so let me show you a really basic example of that. You can see on the Nautica website, again, another website that you can sell. I was also able to use SellerAmp to source here. So using the SellerAmp Chrome extension, I can just search for these different products. I was able to see that, hey, this actually sells really well. This particular color was like $17, but looking into the data, I can see that the navy triple XL right here is selling for $25. And this is where a new Amazon seller is, number one, not going to make profit. And also this is where a lot of new sellers come in. They can't find anything profitable and they quit. It makes total sense. They're finding nothing profitable, but you need to make items profitable, not just find them profitable, right? So this right here, if I punch in $13, not very interesting, right? $2 profit, not a great ROI, but I can go in here and buy some discounted money. Here's just like one example of a way we're able to create margin when we're shopping, right? So if I go to Nautica on Cardbear, I can see, hey, I can actually get 13% off on a discounted gift card when I buy from Nautica, right? Basically what this means is I can go to one of these websites and buy a $100 gift card. I'm going to pay $87, for example. And so now I'm able to use those gift card numbers, which are immediately emailed to me. And I can go in here and say, hey, my price is $13, but I want to subtract 13% from my cost because of that discounted gift card. And now I'm making enough profit. I'm making a good ROI. It's all lighting up green here. And by the way, if you're wondering about shipping and fees and all that kind of stuff, right? On down here on on SellerAmp, you can see I include the average per pound rate to ship to Amazon, and I also source with some sales tax baked in as well. So that's with about $1 or $2 of extra fees, just so you guys can know that this is actually true profit after it's all said and done. And that's how you make items profitable. You don't just find them profitable. And because this concept is so important, I'll leave a free document down below. There's 12 major discount methods that I use. It's not just discounted gift cards and coupons and sales, that kind of thing. So down below, I'll leave that free document. That's every way that I create profit in my business. That stuff's extremely important, and that document's free, like I said. But the third thing to keep in mind as you start selling on Amazon is that cash flow is everything, right? So there's a couple different things I want to break down. This part is super important. The first part of cash flow that you need to understand is that the Amazon seller who's able to move their money the fastest is always going to win, right? Anytime you're in an inventory-based business like selling on Amazon, you need to get as good as possible at making sales quicker. So for most people, that's going to be leveraging things like fulfilled by merchant. So on pretty much every product that you sell, you're going to notice that some of these products are sold directly from Amazon FBA. So in this case, you can see the only seller on this listing was an Amazon FBA seller. We check out this one, you'll see, hey, one of these sellers is actually doing Amazon FBM, right? So they're keeping all that stuff in their house, their warehouse, whatever it is. And then when a customer buys it, they're shipping it directly to the customer. And the reason why this is so important for your cash flow is because when you're shipping those products directly to the customer, you're skipping that lag time of waiting for an FBA shipment to check in. So the way Amazon FBA works, we ship in a big pile of inventory using a software called Boxum. Amazon checks it all in. And then when it's all checked in, which usually takes a week to 3 weeks at least, then we start making sales. As an FBM seller, you can immediately start making sales. You can immediately prove to yourself that people actually want to buy a product. And so what a lot of really smart beginner Amazon sellers will do is they'll list pretty much all of their new products via Amazon FBM. Once it starts selling, they'll buy a bunch more and then ship some of that into Amazon FBA. So they're still making lots of quick sales via Amazon FBM. And then when that product checks into FBA, they're saving some time on not having to do the shipping themselves. And generally, if you're an FBA seller versus an FBM seller, all else equal, you're typically going to make more sales as that FBA offer. So just keep that in mind as you're starting to think about selling on Amazon. There's lots of different ways to actually make sales. And then the second piece of the cash flow conversation that's really important is that you need to preset basically time horizons where you're going to start to lower prices, start to make the sale, start to be okay with losing money, because that's inevitable, right? Even after I've been selling on Amazon for 6 years, I still buy probably a product every day, at least every other day, that I just don't end up making too much money on. Whether that item became too easy to find or the price never goes back up where it used to be, whatever that reason is, a lot of times it can come down to seasonality as well. So let's say you're stocking up on sweatpants and it's the middle of June, probably not going to find too much success long-term with that, right? So what you need to do is set some non-emotional price thresholds for all of your items. I know it's hard to lower that price on that item that you found at 2 a.m. You were working late, you were pushing yourself to find that next item, and you're like, man, I remember I was working really hard for this item. I want to hold this item and try to make the sale at a profitable price point. What's going to happen a lot of times is if you're just holding an item with no real reason for that price to go back up, you'll end up getting stuck holding inventory. And then instead of reinvesting that money every month or 2 months, depending on if you're FBA or FBM, then that money's just been sitting there for 3 months, 6 months, a year plus, and it's not growing when it's stuck in that inventory that you just feel like it should go back up in price just for no real good reason. So for me in my Amazon business, if I go about 30 days with no sales, that's where I'm typically going to cut it to about 10% ROI or so, cover my box, my shipping costs, all that kind of stuff. After 45 to 60 days, depending on how low I am on cash, if I think there is a reason why the price might go up, some things like seasonality like I talk about, then I'm typically going to cut to break even. And then anywhere from 75 to 90 days, I'm going to cut that item down to whatever price I need to cut it to make the sale. And one thing that makes it really easy to monitor the inventory and know how long you've had certain products is when you're listing those products, make sure you're using Boxum to create that shipment. That's going to automatically create a SKU that embeds the date you sent it into Amazon. That's going to make it really easy for you to audit and know when it's time to start lowering prices, when it's okay to be greedier and wait for prices to come back up if you haven't had it that long. But that's just a really simple trick you can use when you start using Boxum to create shipments. 2 other quick gems I'll drop as far as increasing your cash flow is if you're an FBM seller, make sure you have your FBM shipping settings set up properly. I have a full video on my channel that walks you through everything, but there's a couple quick tweaks you can make, like lowering the delivery times to states that you're close to, or lowering your handling time by default. Those are just some quick tweaks you can make that use the same resources you're already expected to delegate to that FBM shipment, but it can make that product say that it's going to deliver quicker to the customer. And that's one of those big things that allows Amazon to give you more sales on that listing. And then on the other side, if you're doing Amazon FBA, make sure you're using 2D barcodes, which you can create through Boxum, or if you're making really big shipments, you can do what are called optimized shipments, which when you make that shipment through Boxum, if you have 5 or more identical boxes that you've created, Boxum is going to show you an option to ship those products into multiple different fulfillment centers. That's going to immediately make your product available for sale in all 5 of those fulfillment centers and make it easier to get it spread around. And it typically also saves you on total cost. I could honestly talk about cash flow for an hour plus, but those are the really important things you need to understand. And just know that keeping your cash flow healthy is probably priority number 1 for you as an Amazon seller. The fourth thing that's important for you to know know before you start selling on Amazon is to remember that the first 10,000 bucks that you sell on Amazon is by far the hardest part. And if you're watching this video, you probably don't have very many sales yet, if at all. So right now you need to learn, how do I find products? How do I ship products into Amazon? How do I get approved to sell new brands? How do I communicate with Amazon? There's a lot of different moving parts that you need to learn all at once. And the nice part is that basically the only task that you have to keep doing and keep learning consistently for years is product research. The rest of the Amazon business stays pretty straightforward. And in fact, just in case you don't already know how to find that next profitable item, let's jump back into the computer and I'll show you a strategy that you can implement and find a product within the next 10 to 15 minutes. Because the simplest way to find profitable products in 2025 is to go to SellerAmp and using the ideas that other smart Amazon sellers already have. So for example, we found this product and we know it's profitable right now. So the chances that one of these other sellers that's on this listing also have some profitable ideas for us are going to be extremely high, right? So what I can do is I can open up that storefront. So here I can see this person has one feedback. So they're really new to Amazon. They're going to have a lot of the exact same opportunities that are available to you. And then based on what these sellers have in their storefront, we're also going to be able to create some profit. So what I'm looking for specifically as I scroll through here is items where I think I can buy it for this max cost option. So SellerAmp makes it pretty simple for us to find that next profitable item, because all we need to do is ask ourselves, do I think I can buy this Gap t-shirt for $1? In this case, probably not. I'm going to go on to the next thing. All right, let's see, shoelaces. Do I think I can buy these for $2? In this case, maybe, but I doubt it. Yeah, and they're showing up at like $4. Let's see, $1 for that, 12 bucks for a hoodie, until I get to something that seems a little bit more reasonable. So let's check this out, like a 3-pack of t-shirts. Maybe we can get that for 12 bucks. In this case, I think those are like 31. Let's keep on chugging along here. Let's see, here's another one of those t-shirts, and I think this one is $21. And yeah, you can see here's where I started that kind of conversation off there. Let's keep checking some of these out here and let's see if we can find something different. So this is interesting, right? Because it's similar to that website where we already know how to create some profit on this website. And I can see that these polos that they've already found, this is selling about 3,000 times a month, split between all the different colors and sizes. And this particular one, if I can get it for $16, then I'm definitely interested. So let me go ahead and open up the Amazon listing here. Then I also want to open up the shopping options. Let's see, I can see here's the Nautica listing. So it seems like these are 20 bucks, but what I can do is I can actually check and see if this seller or any other sellers have found some more expensive variations. Because in this case, I can see this is 20 bucks where we do know how to create 13% in discount, right? Through that discounted gift card, but that's not quite profitable enough on this specific listing. But what I can do is I can use Keepa. So Keepa and SellerAmp, that's all you need for product research. You're going to see a ton of really expensive software out there. Keepa and SellerAmp for product research, and then Boxum for tracking analytics, creating shipments, basically the whole back end of your business. All you need, so keep it nice and simple there. But down here on Keepa, I can see, hey, this medium bright cobalt here, this is actually selling for $61. An interesting example though, because I can see, yeah, usually it's like 31 to 45 bucks. So I want to find something that's more consistently at that higher price point. Let's see, like this one right here, if they have this burgundy, that's like kind of more consistently at $50. So let's see if that one is on here. Fuchsia, red, yeah, not seeing it immediately. So we'll keep checking. Maybe the reason why it's really expensive is that particular color is probably discontinued or something like that. Let's see, we got a bright white, and you can see this one actually more consistently sells for $52. Worst case, it sells for $35. It seems like the price goes down to every now and then. So you can see on the buy box right there, but even at that price point, that's still profitable. So let's see the white one, and we need the double XL. Yeah, and that's in stock. Perfect. So we can go ahead and pick some of these up, and that's just basically finding products based on the ideas that other sellers already have. And right now this is really profitable because I can see the buy box on this is at $53. So at this moment in time, this is actually an incredible profit. I would expect this to sell closer to $45 to $50 based on the past history of this item, but that's still going to be a really solid item. And you can see worst case down here on the buy box chart, it's going to be like $35 to $32 is actually like the worst it's done in the last little bit here, with lots of sales jumping up at that higher price point. So I'd probably go in here and set my price at $45 to $55 and then see if I can start making some sales. And on something like this where it's a pretty simple color, decently popular size, double XL and white is going to be a pretty popular version, especially on this listing that sells 3,000 times a month. That's a great example of not only finding a product, but also creating profit on that product like we already talked about. And so you can copy that exact sourcing strategy to find your next profitable item. If you want to see that in more detail after this video, there's tons of really detailed videos on the channel of me just live sourcing products, so you can copy all those as well. And that brings me to the next really important thing you need to know before you start selling on Amazon, and that is that you need to have a little bit of a mindset shift if you want to become a business owner. So for me in my personal life, especially before I started selling on Amazon, I was very frugal. I was the guy that was probably wasting too much of my time to save a buck here, save a buck there, that kind of thing. Always trying to find the free way to do things, even if it's not the most efficient. And now that you're thinking about starting a business, or you already do have one, you got to separate that mindset a little bit. At this point, even in my personal life, I still don't like to spend money on super flashy things and that kind of stuff, even after I've made a good amount of money selling Amazon at this point. But in my Amazon business, if there's something that has an ROI that is immediate, let's say I'm looking at some some inventory in my Amazon business and I need to buy 1,000 units of it, $50,000, $100,000, whatever it is, as long as there's an immediate and obvious ROI, I have the confidence at this point. I know I need to separate those mindsets. All right, I'm going to go in here and spend a bunch of that money. On a more basic level, that also comes down to investing in the right tools and software, that kind of thing, that actually saves you a ton of time as a business owner. A really valuable exercise as a business owner is to set a kind of an estimated hourly rate that you want to hit. So let's say your goal is to make $100 an hour as a business owner. I think you can hit that pretty quick if you actually take Amazon seriously. But within that exercise, you start asking yourself, all right, what are things that a person who makes $100 an hour does, right? They invest in software that's relatively cheap, that saves them a lot of time, right? So like I was talking about earlier, SellerAmp, Keepa, and Boxum, all that software together is $90 a month. So if all that software combined somehow only saves you an hour or two, right? That's immediately already going to have an ROI if your goal is to make that $100 an hour, right? For a lot of you guys, maybe that goal is just 25, $30 an hour, that kind of thing, something simple. Now that you're getting serious about making money online, again, that same exercise, all the important software you need, if it saves you 3 hours, then bang, it has an immediate ROI for you and your time. And as you start scaling your Amazon business, that's also going to come down to things like prep centers, right? So at this point, I pay a prep center to receive and ship out all of my inventory to Amazon for me. Number one, it has an awesome benefit of being able to ship to a state that is sales tax free. So sometimes it even saves you time and money. Whenever I ship to these prep centers, I'm no longer having to label my items. They're using Boxum for me to create that shipment, send it into Amazon, and I'm not having to do any of the legwork, so that I can spend more of my time doing the highest dollar per hour task any Amazon seller can do, which is actually sourcing inventory, right? Because that's the most valuable skill that you have as an Amazon business owner, is finding a ton of items per hour. So just keep that in mind as you start getting more serious about running a business, is that you need to separate those mindsets and you need to be willing to invest whatever it's going to take for you to find success into your business. Obviously, that doesn't mean just go willy-nilly throwing around money on anything, but if you see things that other people are already using and having success with, and you see a direct ROI for your business, don't be afraid to spend some money if you know it's going to make you way more money in the long run. With all that said, hopefully now you're a much more prepared Amazon seller. If you found this video helpful at all, you can help me out for free by hitting the like button and subscribing down below. Help me get that shiny 100K YouTube plaque. Let me know if you have any quick questions. You can drop those down below, as well as making sure you grab 2-week free trials of SellerAmp and Boxum so you can actually start your Amazon business. And if you're interested in the process, you want to see all the tactical knowledge, click right here and you'll see a 4-hour long completely free Amazon course I made for you.